Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Terry, and in this video I'm going to talk about a couple of things, or a few things. I'm still not feeling 100% better, and I hurt my hand today, so I couldn't record a video for my music channel. And then waking up, I think it was yesterday morning, and finding out that Pope Francis passed away, which is pretty sad because I thought he was a really good pope. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole process plays out as a Catholic, because I remember before I was Catholic when Pope John Paul II died. I remember just seeing a little bit of it on the news, and they didn't really say a whole lot about the process, but I've been watching videos about how the next pope is going to get chosen, and it's kind of interesting. But then there's another thing I wanted to talk about real quick. RFK Jr. has been in the news a lot lately because some of the awful things he's saying, especially about people on the autism spectrum. And as a person on the autism spectrum, I don't think what he's saying is being helpful in any way, shape, or form. It's not a disease. It's a neurological difference, and it's a spectrum. Yes, there are some people on the spectrum that need a lot more help than others, and some of us need less help. And then there's people in the middle. And even those of us who need less help, at times we need some more help than usual. But it's ridiculous, all the things he's been saying. Like, it's already been proven through, hundreds of studies that there's no link between autism and vaccines. And I don't believe there's a link with the environment either. It's just it's a neurological difference. There's nothing, and I don't think environment plays a role in it. Now, it's not to say that there aren't things that aren't involved in it, with it being a neurological difference. But nobody has really found much in the way of things that it could be. There is a genetic component, possibly, like there is for some other disabilities and neurological differences. But the autism community already has enough stigma, and the last thing we need is for RFK Jr. to make that worse. And this whole thing of doing this registry of autistic people is awful and unnecessary. It's not a necessary thing. How they could have approached it better was to ask people on the spectrum and their families if they wanted to be involved in research, having research done to better understand the neurological difference. And it is a neurological difference, because if you look at like MRIs of a neurotypical brain, meaning someone who's not autistic, and someone who's autistic, there are structural differences in the brains. We have autistic people, we have more neurons in our brains than non-autistic people, because our brains are constantly going. Even when we're sleeping, our brains are going more than a neurotypical brain. And then there's also comorbid things that autistic people deal with too, like stomach problems, or some people are also on the ADHD part of the spectrum too. So it's a very complex thing, and it's not something that you can say, well, in so many months we're going to have total knowledge of it. People have had thousands and thousands of years, and we still barely know much about the human brain. There is so much we still do not know about the human brain, how it, aspects of how it works, aspects of how it sometimes heals from injuries, because there have been some unusual healing from some injuries that science can't explain, because we still know so little about the human brain. And for someone to come along and say that in so many months we're going to have all these answers, when people have been doing research for a very long time, and autistic people pretty much always been around. There's enough evidence from descriptions of people from throughout history that there's a good chance they may have been on the spectrum. And not only that, people on the spectrum have been involved in a lot of the technology we now use today. And I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. And if he is on the spectrum, great. But I'm not a fan of him and some of his ideas and his approaches to things. I think that, like any group of people, you're going to have people that disagree with each other. But I feel like all the things that are going on right now, especially with RK Jr., is just causing a lot of people to be upset. And I don't think it's a helpful thing at all to just be upsetting people. Like I said, a better way they could have handled things was just through people's doctor's offices, have the doctors see if people want to volunteer to have research done on their experiences as an autistic person, and cover as much of the spectrum as you can. Because the thing about autism is, just because you meet one autistic person doesn't mean you've met them all. Like, my other friends in the spectrum were all very different, and we all experience the spectrum very differently. And some of the other kids that I was in school with long before I was diagnosed. I wasn't diagnosed as being on the spectrum until I was an adult. But kids I knew growing up that were diagnosed as being on the spectrum, a lot of them were ones that needed more help than I do. And seeing how they were treated by people was pretty awful, even by teachers. And I don't remember what I'm exactly trying to say, but it'd be nice if the way things are going, they would just handle things better by asking people in all these different communities that are being affected by what's going on, rather than let's do this or let's do that. Talk to people, get to know people, and ask them and get them involved in the process. This is not a video I thought I was interested in making. I didn't want to talk about autism on my channel. Not because I'm ashamed of being autistic. I'm not. But because I wanted to focus on books and theology and the Bible, and on my other channel focus on making music that would entertain people. There's plenty of channels out there that talk about autism that I am subscribed to and that I watch. And I think a lot of the people on those channels do a plenty good enough job at explaining what life is like for us. And I do not always like the way autism is portrayed in pop culture and movies and TV shows and books, but sometimes there have been some creators who have done it and done it well. The Big Bang Theory is a good example. They didn't have Sheldon or any of the main characters diagnosed because they didn't want to, I believe the creators didn't want to have to start dealing with portraying the stigma that would have gone with it. Instead, they chose to just let the character Sheldon be Sheldon. Even though he does have autistic traits, they just didn't have him actually diagnosed. And I thought that show handled a lot of really cool things about that particular group of friends, and pop culture, and like being into kind of like the nerdy stuff of like comic books and video games and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Firefly, Star Wars, and all that. It'd be nice if the government would just approach things in a more caring way. And I don't like some of the things that are going on right now. And I don't want to get into that because I don't want to really get into politics. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about the government, really. But things have happened in the last couple days that I just feel like I needed to talk about. Hopefully later this week I can get back to doing, I will get back to doing my normal videos. I'm hoping to do a video where I compare 3 Bibles that do something similar. One is an Orthodox Bible, one's a Catholic Bible, and one's a Protestant Bible. I don't want to spoil what the video is, but I have 3 Bibles that do something kind of similar, even though they're from the 3 major branches of Christianity. So I thought that would be an interesting video to do. And then I have another video I want to do on the NIV Premium Bible I have, because I also have a non-premium version that is a personal size version of it, and I want to compare the two, do a comparison of those two. And then talk about some of the books I'm reading too. So, sorry for this ramble. Hopefully it wasn't boring for anyone. It's just, I don't know what I really want to say, because I'm one of the people that feels upset by what RFK Jr. has had to say, and some other people on the news have said. And also as being someone who really loves studying history and seeing how things like this have played out previously in history, and the harm that things like this have done in history doesn't help. Before I go, check it out. Max is sleeping. Look at that. He's out like a light. Oh well. Hope everybody's having a good week. And to all the people that have joined the Catholic Church this last weekend, welcome home. To all Christians who celebrated Easter over the weekend, happy Easter. He is risen. I'm trying to think of anything else I'd like to say right now. I'm not sure. I got some more book hauls coming up too. Because today I went to Goodwill and actually found some interesting Catholic books there. And then I also found an interesting Stephen King book at the library for their book sale. So that'll be something to do a video on too. Oh, and then last week at Half Price Books, I picked up a couple of really interesting books too. So that's some upcoming videos. I hope you all are doing well and having a great week. I will see you in the next video.